Computer. There we go. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to get on here because I had a meeting with a real estate agent this morning. And as you may know, real estate agents have a very similar business model as we do. Obviously, network marketing is the same as a real estate agent. There's a broker, and then there's real estate agents, and the broker gets an override from everything that real estate agents sell. And so this guy was pretty astute young man. He'd been in real estate for about 9 years. And I asked him, how he had built his business. And what he shared with me was that he was a hockey player and not like NHL, but whatever, I'm not a hockey girl, but that other level, bottom down from their level. He was a hockey player and he was a construction guy, and he got his real estate license. He was 21, so he was super young. And he knew, his age was against him in the industry. And he just thought, I'm going to build this one at a time. And this is so funny, like so freaking funny. You're going to laugh. So I'm sitting with him at a boardroom table in his real estate agency office. And he's like, so I started with 6 circles. Whoa, this is familiar, right? We talked about this like last week, 6 circles and having different communities. But what he said, I was like, oh my God, I have to tell the team this. So he goes, I started with 6 people. I sold 6 houses. And I just kept thinking they each have a circle of influence. And if I build trust and build a relationship with them, they'll send their friends and family. 6 people. He goes, that's how I started. So we talk about this. This is not a news flash to us. We just talked about this last week, 6 circles of influence, right? What blew my mind is where he took it next, which he said, so over time, he'd been in the business 9 years. He said those 6 people have essentially been their circles have been my referral sources, right? But he said where you see tremendous growth, and he's schooling me. He has no idea really what I do or that I even have ever heard of this idea. But he's teaching this to me, right? He's teaching me this. He said where you see tremendous growth is where the circles start to touch. So I didn't really know what he meant. This is what he meant. So he goes, so Yvonne has a circle, right? And I have a circle. And so I maybe have a friend who's looking for a real estate agent, and I'm like, hey, you should give Jordan a call. And they're like, yeah, whatever. In and out of 1 year. Just like if somebody we hear about, our mom hears about somebody not sleeping and they say, hey, you should give my daughter a call or my son a call, they might have an oil. And that person just totally ignores that. This is what he means by when 2 circles touch. So someone asks me for a real estate agent and I say, hey, I know this guy, Jordan. Maybe they ignore that, right? But what if they also happen to mention to their daughter that they're looking for a real estate agent, and their daughter says, hey, I know this real estate agent named Jordan. Those 2 circles have touched. So one person is now being influenced by 2 people. So in the Young Living world, that's why they say a rising tide raises all ships, or that's why it's hardest to get started, where there's not already some Young Living traction, because they're only hearing it from one person that oils are great. But when as a community, we start to see people using oils and that to just become a regular thing, well, now they're hearing it from this person, and then they're hearing it from this person, and then they're hearing it from that person. And so they're within their space, many circles are touching them saying, hey, you should try oils. So think about your own circle. If, let's say you have a mummy group circle, right? And that's all your friends you go to mummy group with. But you also, have a fitness circle, right? And that's all the people you hang out at the fitness circle with. Well, there's somebody out there who knows the people who you go to mummy group with and knows the people you go to the fitness group with. And that somebody out there is hearing that they should give oils a try to help their kids sleep. 2 circles of influence are touching that person, saying you need to call, Crystal or whoever to get some oils. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that sort of makes sense. So what kind of blew my mind is I have thought a lot about the 6 circles, but I have never thought about this idea of these 2 circles touching, and how when that happens, that's when we really start to see a lot of momentum, because it's not like a message that people are just like, oh, whatever, oils, they're crazy. But now they're hearing it from lots of sources. Hey, you use oils, and that's where you'll see your growth really come from. So I thought that was cool. And then the other thing I wanted to just share, I know this is kind of jumping around. This is going to jump around a bit today. But I signed up for Facebook training with Brian Carruthers. You already know I love Brian Carruthers. Building an Empire is his book. I have to say, since we did that book study, Building an Empire book study, was that October? I think it was October. I don't know. I've probably done 100 three-way calls with you guys since then. I think I know it's working because I see now you guys as leaders doing three-way calls that I don't even know about, so I don't know how many you've done. But Brian Carruthers gives such tangible, practical practices for us in network marketing, so I'm a big fan of his, which is why when I saw his social media program for $49, I was like, $49? If I sell one kit, it pays for it. It was US. I signed up for it, and I just started it this morning. I'm only an hour in, and I have pages of thoughts that I wanted to share with you. So I'm just going to try and pick out a few highlights. One of them is to really be thinking about our personal Facebook pages as a place to develop and build friendships. And then those people will turn into prospects. But unless we've put in the work to engage on Facebook, we haven't built that friendship to deserve for them to be a prospect yet. And I thought that was really interesting. He's a huge proponent. He's just like pounding this out there. And I mean, these guys know what they're doing, to not be spamming call to action posts of, order a kit today, click here kind of thing. That is not what the effective Facebook social media people are doing at all. And I agree. They're sharing maybe personal experiences of how oils have helped them, of talking in a really sincere way. But the call to action thing, frankly, I don't know that it even hurts that bad. I just haven't found it that effective. And he's saying the same thing. The other thing he talked about was when we like somebody's post. So you have a friend who posts something and you're building a relationship and rapport with them, and we like their post. They're happy, right? We know that. We all know that. We like each other's posts all the time. If we comment on their posts, they love it, right? Because we've said hey, you were posting about, the best ways to grow an orchid. I have an orchid here. The best ways to grow an orchid. Hey, thanks for that post about how to grow orchids. I have an orchid that hasn't bloomed in a year. Maybe I'm going to try the tip number 4 to only water it with an ice cube. Thanks for sharing that. Hopefully it blooms. So if we comment on somebody's post, they love it, right? Right away, we come up in the way they view us because we've engaged with them. Here was the neat thing. I never thought of this. If we share someone else's posts, they freaking adore us because we have really said what you just shared matters to me enough to share it with the people that I love. And so when you see a post that resonates with you, whatever that might be on orchids or, I don't know. I have a lady who has a shoe store, and I love her shoes. You guys seen me talk about her before. Probably she's in St. Albert. Anyways, I shared some shoes yesterday, red shoes. I don't know if you saw it. Anyways, I love the shoes. I love her shoe store. I'd love for her to buy oils, and I just think she's an awesome entrepreneur with this wicked shoe store. But I shared her shoe store, and she messaged me, and she's like, "I'm going to get those shoes in for you." And I'm like, "Awesome, thank you. Please do that." So share your people that you want to support. Share their posts. Okay, the other cool thing he talked about was engaging with people and having a conversation. So if you post something, whatever subject, oils, whatever, and somebody engages with you in some way and you don't engage back, that is the equivalent to you being at a party and somebody walking up to you and saying "Oh, hey, Yvonne, haven't seen you in a long time," and you just leaving them, just totally leaving them. So I got to dismiss my notice reminder came up. So it is our job as communicators, as friends, to engage with people, right? Have a conversation. And his point was, so somebody posts something about, that they are going to a dog agility competition, and you also have a dog that you do agility with, and you comment "Hey, I'm not going to make it, but have fun." And they write back, "Oh, too bad you can't make it." And that if we just don't respond, that's just us walking away from the conversation, which is a missed opportunity to deepen that relationship and get to know another human being, which is our goal, right? And so his comment was to move that comment, back and forth comment, to a private message, right, as quickly as possible. Even just so the dog thing, I'm not going to make it to that agility competition, and they're like, "Oh, that sucks." Then to private message them and just say, "Hey, I'm not coming, but if you need to borrow my kennel or you want to borrow the kids' earplugs to protect your kids' ears, let me know. And get that conversation sort of off of public. And then, we get kind of caught up in this high-tech world, but that's where our opportunity is to be like, I'm not going to make it this weekend, but I haven't seen you in a while. It'd be great to set up a play date. And it's hard to beat, even though Facebook is great, that high touch, the impact of high touch, which is what we talk about all the time, and you guys rock at that, which is setting up one-to-ones, being present with someone, going for coffee, having a play date, and listening for a time when it might be appropriate to say, hey, you're having trouble sleeping? Would you be interested in, I do these oil things. Would you be interested in trying something natural? And if they say no, no problem. We'll keep talking about dogs and get to know each other and build more trust. And if they say, yeah, my husband doesn't really like things that smell, but I guess so, I could say, well, what if I give you a little sample and you put it on your feet and you put socks on, so it's, screw your husband, he's not going to smell it anyways, and give it a try. Anyways, so to get the conversation off the public page, move it to private message or text, and set up a time to be high touch versus high tech. Okay. What else do we have here that I wanted to share? Yeah, we want to develop friendships and turn them into prospects. And, this is the other thing that I loved, that recruiting or selling is not an event, it's a process. And I was like, that's so good, because sometimes we look back at like the week and we're like, oh, I didn't sell any kits. Like, I must suck at this, or I guess Young Living isn't for me, or whatever, right? Or I'm a failure, or it doesn't work. It's, the business model doesn't work. It's not going to work for me. It works for some people, but you have to be popular or whatever. But instead, we need to look at it like, this is not an event that makes us successful, but are we in the process of building relationships? Are we in the process of learning? Are we in the process of teaching people about natural alternatives? And if we're in the process, like that's the game, not the game, but like that is what we do. This is a process, not just like, somebody bought a kit, like, boom, it's over. What we're actually paid to do is be in the process, which is inviting, engaging, listening, serving, helping, suggesting, offering. That's the bottom line. Okay, that's it. That's all over the place, Facebook and stuff. I'm going to stop recording. If you want to stay on and we can just talk about whatever, feel free. I have about 10 minutes and then somebody's coming over for a coffee, but I'll stop recording now.